Inflation is made in Washington because only Washington can create money. And any other attribution to other groups of inflation is wrong. Consumers don't produce it. Producers don't produce it. The trade unions don't produce it. Foreign sheiks don't produce it. Oil imports don't produce it. What produces it is too much government spending and too much government creation of money and nothing else.
Very true words back then, and even more truer words right now. That, of course, was Milton Friedman. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org. And man, oh man, are we going to have a lot more inflation coming our way, especially with record government spending plans, the government buying up some very interesting items, lots of proxy wars out there with some very eye-opening statements from CBS News about those tax-funded goods sent to Ukraine. All of this as censorship is on the rise, and we got some very surprising comments by Elon Musk, which we're going to be going over in this specific video. There's so much news, we're just going to jump right into it. As of course, the most popular, the most voted for president in American history has finally emerged from his quarantine, finally escaping after 2 weeks of isolation, smiling, waving to the crowds, walking somewhat coherently, walking somewhat of a, stable way, going right to work, pushing for a bill that is going to be spending $740 billion of American money on climate and health. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. This, as another climate warrior, has just emerged from another private jet, as we got video of Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, that is imposing fines, regulations, and rules on average Canadians with their consumption of carbon, who was just videotaped not wearing a mask with his family after landing in Costa Rica on his private jet. This, as travel has been made virtually impossible in Canada with extremely long lines and new restrictions placed on the Canadian people that has made traveling miserable for them. This, as Justin Trudeau is pretty much saying, do as I say, not as I do, which is a perfect representation from the latest remarks from the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, that just came out against what she is calling the wrongful detention of a WNBA player, Brittany Griner, calling for her immediate release. As of course, Miss Griner was just sentenced to 9 years in Russian jail for allegedly drug smuggling, as she was caught with a vape pen with an illegal substance inside of it for, of course, personal use. And even though a lot of right-wingers are criticizing Brittany because she criticized the United States, she was a major BLM supporter, I think it's fair to say that what's happening to her is atrocious, and no one should go to jail for 9 years and be labeled a drug smuggler for personal use of a substance in their own personal bodies. Logic, of course, that took a while for U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to understand, as of course, under her rule as Attorney General in California, she has imprisoned thousands of people for similar charges, locked them up, hid evidence that would exonerate the innocent, and fought against wrongfully convicted individuals to be released from jail, of even one individual that was on death row. Kamala Harris was known as being a cutthroat prosecutor that was all about her record, wreaking havoc on the people of California, that many times she either wrongfully convicted or went out of her way to cruelly punish for the similar things that she is now accusing Russia of doing, when she herself did this, as of course called out by Elon Musk, as of course he was just on a Full Send podcast, which is now trending number 3 on all of YouTube. The over 3-hour podcast has over 6 million views already, and Elon Musk released a lot of bombshells in that particular interview, but specifically asking, quote, shouldn't we free people in America if we're going to be telling Russia to free one of our citizens for the crimes that we punish people for here in the United States? And Elon Musk even went as far as to propose that Biden should release anyone jailed for marijuana-related offenses in the United States in order to to, of course, fix this wrong that the U.S. criminal justice system has been doing for over decades. Started, of course, by corrupted policies by the Rockefeller family, the Hirsch family, all over a paper deal decades ago that led to, of course, a massive domestic police state, lots of wasteful government spending, and government intervention into people's personal lives, which is absolutely ridiculous. Elon Musk also talked about how he was drug tested almost for a year by the federal government after, of course, he was caught smoking a J with Joe Rogan on his podcast. This, as we should also remember, that it was Joe Biden himself that put in place many of the stringent rules, laws, and regulations that, of course, have pushed on the turbulent war on drugs that, of course, have created massive amounts of criminal gangs, just like any prohibition does. And with this issue on the forefront, I think this is why many Americans are calling for a more rational policy and an end to the war on drugs that clearly was lost by the federal government and only made the situation that much worse. Plus, the CIA for decades has been shipping in all the hard drugs anyway. You want to know where it's coming from? All you have to do is look at the CIA receipts that they probably destroyed. But I digress. Anyway, another thing that Elon Musk said on this podcast that was absolutely, in my opinion, right on the money and definitely deserves to be heard is, of course, his opinion on population control. And here's a small segment of that particular clip.
What do you think's the biggest threat to mankind right now?
I'd say the biggest threat right now is population collapse. The super low growth rate.
Really?
Yeah.
Over like nuclear war, natural
Don't
disaster?
we have an overpopulation problem?
No, we have an underpopulation problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you
So
think
this is the most commonly misunderstood situation.
Yeah, they definitely push that we have a overpopulation
Yeah, why is
problem.
that?
I don't know.
And from looking at the data, looking at the science, and studying this particular subject for many years now, I would have to say that Elon Musk is right on the money. Of course, the conversation went into further to what's happening in Japan, to what's going to be happening all over the world, to how even China is dealing with a massive population decline in its country. All of this, as of course one of the major notions by a lot of these climate warriors, is that there's too many people, which Elon Musk correctly calls out as an absolute lie. Now, of course, there's other things that I disagree with when it comes to Elon Musk and his general stances and his approaches. But when it comes to this particular issue, I do see it as one of the most important topics that deserves a lot more discussion than it's getting right now. And to see this discussion on one of the most popular podcasts on the internet, the Full Send It podcast, is, I believe, a net positive, as of course a lot of important conversations surrounding this topic have been previously censored and banned by big tech social media, which is becoming more and more aggressive. And even though a lot of people are getting deplatformed, demonetized, downranked in the algorithm for even just expressing or trying to debate ideas, political concepts, delving into scientific data, still, we have to understand that one way that they can't stop the conversation is by you wearing our t-shirt, which you could get on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Cheesy plug, but I gotta do it because I believe in this idea. Our short store has been doing incredibly well, and it has not only sparked many interesting conversations, but it has allowed individuals to find other like-minded, smart, aware individuals who have an open mind and are willing to culture jam or exchange ideas with an individual without the use of force and violence. Basic principles of voluntarism. You don't know what that is? Look that up. But whether it's practicing media distancing, calling for the regulation of government, not your neighbors, or this perfect diagram of where we are culturally and politically with 1984, Hunger Games, V for Vendetta, Fahrenheit 451, and other books and fictional pieces like They Live, Brave New World, which you could depict by getting the shirt that I'm wearing right now. This is, of course, one of many designs documenting our utter decline into idiocracy. And to do your form of lazy activism, to find like-minded individuals in your community, get a shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. As of course, this is one of the best ways to start a conversation. People will start them with you. And of course, there's also some shirts that we cannot show you here on this particular platform. You could see all of them just by clicking the link down in the description below. Also, if you're a member of LukeUncensored.com, we have members-only t-shirt at cost available to you. These are some of them that are only available for members of LukeUncensored.com. But again, you'll have more to choose from, and you'll be supporting this independent media organization just by going to thebestpoliticalshirts.com. .com right now. Now, I think it's fair to say that there's been a lot of theft going around recently, not just in, of course, major Democratic city areas like New York City, San Francisco, but, of course, with the federal government literally stealing your money and levying one of the biggest taxes on you, which, of course, is inflation. Many people don't recognize inflation as a tax, but it is. It literally devalues and robs your money of its value. You have money underneath the bed. The government, through printing too much money, is literally devaluing it almost as if they were taking a half or a portion of it underneath your bed, as of course what you could purchase with those Federal Reserve fiat pieces of paper is being reduced by the day. This, as of course the Biden administration has implemented transitory policies that they are bragging about, which is going to transition the United States from a gas and oil country to a, quote, renewable energy country, which they've been openly implementing by, of course, stopping domestic energy production and exploration. We depend on, Saudi Arabia financing their empire, shipping oil all the way over there, spending more oil, causing more pollution, and all in the name of renewable energies. This, as the Biden administration just yesterday was bragging about how they were responsible for bringing down the price of gas less than $1, even though it's almost $3 more than what the president of the United States inherited from the previous president. But obviously his domestic energy policies have shot prices up dramatically, and for him to brag about the price going down 90 cents when it's been going up over $3 since his administration took place is a bit bewildering, to say the least, leaving a lot of people asking some very serious questions. This as the federal government wants to go on yet another spending spree, trying to pass a $740 billion bill on mainly Democratic causes, allegedly around climate change and health, even though the bill is heavily criticized by individuals like Bernie Sanders. This as the U.S. Senate is trying to pass this bill without the Republicans being able to stop it. Kamala Harris is, of course, expected to break this deadlock, but yet again, they want to spend over $700 billion right now, print more money, borrow more money that they don't have on their ventures that, of course, are fully supported by unaccountable billionaires like Bill Gates, that, of course, has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on influence in the corporate media. He has sure got it, as, of course, they push on and spur on major policies that directly benefit him. He's a big supporter of the bill. What's exactly in it? Who knows, because they keep changing and adding stuff in there, as, of course, their solution to them printing more money and screwing you over is for them to print more money and to screw you even more over. This, as even the IRS is being proposed to expand its operations, as they were just caught buying nearly $1 million in ammo and firearms. Why is the IRS buying nearly $1 million of ammo and firearms? What are they gearing up for? What are they preparing for? This, as CBS News just came out in a recent documentary highlighting how nearly 30% of the weaponry that the United States tax dollars are paying for reaches the soldiers in Ukraine. Yes, you're hearing this, not just from conspiracy theorists. We've been talking about this, by the way, for months. We talked about the black market being filled in Europe with a lot of American military hardware that is extremely dangerous to the populations there, and we have already seen documented cases months ago, as we've been detailing to you, anti-aircraft missiles and even automatic machine guns sold on the black market all throughout Europe from the United States. CBS News is now confirming that fact, and even in their documentary stating that 70% of U.S. military aid never reaches Ukrainian soldiers. This is as the United States has been spending a huge amount of money, huge amount of military equipment into that region, as of course the results of this will wreak havoc on to Europe, as of course many gangs, many radical groups, many nefarious actors all throughout Europe now will have access at a discounted rate to the weapons that you paid for and was shipped all throughout Europe. Now, with more government spending, more government restrictions of everyday lives, more climate change rules and regulations, more government boards watching every move of American citizens. Who's going to benefit off of this? Most likely the billionaire class, which is probably going to create more unrest, just like we recently saw in Bangladesh, one of the many countries now joining Sri Lanka, the Netherlands, and many other countries around the world in an uprising against, of course, gas prices going up, massive inflation, which is all directly being caused by the central controllers that are literally implementing policies that are going to be bleeding dry the American middle class, if there even is still one that exists. That's my personal opinion. That's my perspective. If you thought I was wrong, let me know why down in the comment section below. I always appreciate constructive criticism. I always appreciate being able to hear news and information from a different perspective that is not mine, away from my echo chamber. So I appreciate the debate and conversation. If you thought what I said was on the money, if you liked it, if you think these ideas need to be discussed more, if you think there needs to be more debates, more honest conversations, share this video with your friends and family members, because when you do, it's one of the few ways that these videos actually get out there to the general public. And because you do that, I'm still here, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on, I was going to say thebestpoliticalshirts.com, so you can help spread the conversation when I even say anything, but we are change.org.